How is everyone? Good? Yeah, very good. Can you all hear me okay? Thanks, Jade. I'd like to start today, if we could, by either keeping your eyes open or closed, but just simply becoming quiet for a few minutes. And allow ourselves to peacefully reflect on our day. Not any one thing in particular, just wherever the mind goes. And while the mind is reflecting, place your attention into the body and its natural comfort. I'd like you to pay close attention to the experience that you're having beyond your thoughts. And see if you can maintain the connection to what is happening to you physically as you keep your eyes open or closed, but shift your attention into the conversation that we're having and see if you can maintain a quality of meditation while you are engaging with the world around you. And I am connecting it to a quality of meditation, even though we began with a reflection, because the steps that you develop to go deeper into something as simple as relaxation is the exact same steps that you develop when you're going into meditation. So to connect quality of space that is comfortable and relaxing into the meditation as many times as possible becomes very useful. I'd like to start by asking you a question. It's one of my very favorite questions. And it's simply, why are you here? What brings you to a meditation practice? What brings you to this room? even more significantly, what brings you to this life? And I know sometimes at first inquiry it might sound lofty or deep to ask yourself these kinds of questions in relation to just the everyday experiences that you have. But as you begin to develop a way of contemplating and reflecting upon these reasons why you're here, begins to have a very clear application to everything that we do, including how we sit and why we choose to sit that way. So again, why are you here? What brings you to a meditation practice? What brings you to this room? What brings you to this particular place in your life? And as you reflect on that, can you answer the question to yourself, is that what you see and that what you feel, is it true? Is that the truth of why you're here? And if yes, great, then why? Why is that so true? And if no, great, then why? Why is that not feeling as though it's the truth? And I frame it like that because what we are engaging with is something incredibly dynamic. And the dynamism that exists within one's mind is working with a experience-based formula that is our perception. So what we perceive as being real or true at this moment in time has the agility to transform, to shift, and change at any given moment, depending on what it is that we are doing, who we're speaking to, what posture we're sitting in. And often we create a contemplative analysis from a place where this perception is in a flux. So to begin to recognize that natural flux that exists within what is developing, the reasoning why you are here, is then to allow the function of the dynamic action that exists within your waking consciousness to have room to express itself. Now that agility and that shift of perception is related to thought and emotion. And that thought, emotion, and its overarching stories connects directly to one's personality. And that personality is then what is filling the space of the why. So to recognize that as being a vital component within the theme of why you're here. So that is a vital component. And to allow it room to express itself. And how it manifests within a meditation practice is as a flowing thought stream. And what's really profound is that we can only pay attention to one thought at a time. And that's quite amazing. We think that we're multitasking in all of these different thoughts, but really it's just one thought at a time very quickly. So you can only see one thing at a time and test it out. Try to put 10 there. You will only choose one spot. So now this agility is coming from the conscious part of who you are. So this, let's call it the awareness. So now if we are able to apply consciously our awareness, not at the thought, but at the place between thought. So we're allowing ourselves to have thought, but not pay close enough attention for it to pull our awareness away from that which you feel is the utmost of importance, the reason why you are here. So now if we take that practice that we find within a meditation, but we create subtlety out of it, and we place that exact same practice into the larger question of, why am I here? But instead of looking at this reason why, as it is a construct, as it is in flux, as it is based upon our perception, but instead we allow it to be there, just like we're allowing our thoughts to be there. But we place the awareness and our attention into something deeper. Then just like thought, the reason why, that most important truth of why we're here, begins to just simply shed in its layers and become finer and finer. And that work, amazingly, can be just put off to the side, and it is actively involved in developing you as you pay close attention to that quality of space that exists right there in front of you, with your eyes gently closed. So that which we do not see, we can multitask incredibly. So we actually, our whole body systems is regulated all at once. We don't pay close attention to that. So human consciousness runs in the same way. Our mind also works in that same capacity, in those subtle realms of development. So to begin to mature this contemplation of why we're here is then to allow yourself to be exactly who you are at this given moment in time. Without fully accepting it, meaning buying into that as being a permanent absolute, but also without rejecting it as well. And often this rejection is a suppression. So we are allowing ourselves in our time of meditation to be exactly who we are at that moment in time. And within the acceptance of that developing nature, we begin to dissolve the intensity and the pull that it may have, which creates a distraction. And what that leads to is the authenticity of stillness. So there's very specific equations that exist within classical yoga, meditation, Buddhism, very specific formulas. And those formulas are achieved through the ability to surrender, to let go of everything that you could possibly hold on to at any moment in time. But because we have this part of our brain that is encouraging us to survive, we catch on and clamp down, especially in moments when we feel a little bit threatened. But that influence of threat often comes from the inside out. So now to recognize that and to create safety within the ability to express oneself freely. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is now an overarching societal reason why one would be here in the particular circumstance of mental experience that you're in, or why someone would want to engage in a meditation practice, is to learn how to trust in oneself and in one's own environment. And within that environment and within oneself includes consciousness. So as the developmental tool, we connect again and again and again and again and again to the quality of space where nothing has been defined yet. Not yet been defined. But it has a sensation, it has a language, it has a vibration. There is also a knowing and an understanding there. But it has yet to be defined. And that creative genius which exists within that space is what is aiding in the development of the individual psychology. So quite literally maturing the understanding that one has with themselves. Because we are asking not just the fundamental question of why I'm here, but the fundamental question of who am I? And that question of who am I is something that is hardwired. It's an innate function within the human being. So now to trust that question, not to create anxiety around it, but to start to see it from a different perspective. And trust that the question is there for a very specific reason. But what often challenges an individual is the sensation that is connected to allowing yourself to ask the question, who am I? This unknown factor. So what is harnessing the safety of going into that place of unknown is the repetition of engagement with that quality of space that exists between thought, between sensation, between words, that has not yet been defined. This is the unknown realm of consciousness. We don't know what that is. And the most fascinating thing is that this unknown reality is with you 24 hours, 7 days a week. And you know it so well that you bypass it as being just space between the things that are making you go crazy through your day. If that were to be the case. So this is a real roundabout way of getting to a very specific point. And the point is that when an individual begins to realize that what fills all aspects of their life is the mystery itself, and within the mystery exists all questions, and within that mystery also exists all answers, and that the missing link that exists between us maintaining an unknown perspective of understanding and a known perspective is just simply cultivating the relationship with that mystery that flows within all things. Now, the relationship that we're cultivating has been occurring for an extended period of time. As human beings, we've been engaging in this as a practice. And at this moment, we are at a very specific level of communication with that mystery that actually we are all a part of, whether we are aware of it or not. And that it will continue to go into the future after we are no longer here. But what the most precious part of the whole experience is that the fact that you're here. So now what we do with this time is up to you, is up to me. But within that, if you are inclined and tuned to begin to formulate some confidence and reassurance of an answer, is to then begin to follow the subtle instruction that comes from that space. And that subtle instruction, I guarantee you, is always focused on your well-being. It says, go to bed at this time. It says, wake up and do sun salutations at this time. Do your meditation practice this many times. It says, eat these foods, stay away from those foods. No longer engage in that relationship, but build this relationship. It is always on your side. That takes an immense amount of trust to begin to do all things right. It's the fantastic mystery. And meditation is a part of that. Because meditation is dissolving the obstacle between you and that which you are engaging with as the object, the focal point for your meditation practice, yes, but also for your life. So this why. Why am I here? In this particular reality that I've created for myself. And within that, who am I? And with this constant remembering to ask this question, who am I? We become keenly tuned to the truth. So I'm not talking about this absolute truth that we're all going to share. I'm talking solely about a truth that exists inside of you as an individual. That will then maybe over time extend out into a absolute. But that absolute only exists when there is congruency and agreeance across the board. And until then, it maintains an individual truth, which I think is good enough. Any questions?
Namaste.
Namaste, good sir.
So awareness, or the watcher watching the event, or the mind going to and forth, it's the awareness that you're talking about. And it seems to be that within me, this sort of like observer, this is what you're speaking of, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then as we practice the meditations, we're learning to control the chariot of the mind, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And in that controlling of that chariot, we're able to control the chariot of desires and so on and so forth, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the obstacle seems so simple.
It
seems so simple.
So simple.
But yet so vast to cross
But
that
yet.
chasm.
Mm-hmm. It's really
Why
amazing.
does the mind, the question is, why does the mind make it so complicated?
I don't believe that the mind actually makes it so complicated. I believe that it is the aware part of you, the one that is actually making the decisions, is just choosing not to.
That's good.
Yeah. It is funny though. We can't blame anybody but the decision maker on this one. It's not the mind's fault. But you know what helps? Because meditation, for me, is a real practical application. And what meditation teaches from the body perspective is how to relax. So we let go of a lot of holding patterns and learn how to make that relaxation second nature. So on a constant basis, we're just letting go. The second thing it teaches from the perspective of the breath is attention. So we build attention. And that building attention based upon the breathing into relaxation is now strengthening a well. And that well of developing attention aids in this where we place the focus and how we can then make a new decision. So now the third thing is concentration, because we need concentration in order to make a decision. Because without that concentration, then it becomes light and we can choose whatever it is that the decision maker wants, right? But if we keep grounding in a particular way, the decisions become easier and easier because it becomes more and more obvious what is the right choice. And then the fourth thing, which is taught by dynamic stillness, is direction. So once we've formulated a very clear direction, again, the decision becomes easier and easier because we can actually taste that thirst quenching elixir that comes from your steady gains, those steady gains.
Absolutely, I've discovered that in the year, and I'm only doing it like minor, like I'm not even diving in this, and yet even minor, I'm gaining ground and finding observations within myself, and composure and equanimity and balance, and even the most stressful conditions. I mean, as you know, I had some stressful conditions, and yet I was able to compose and be in balance just from these simple practices that you offer. So these are really powerful tools. The real fun part about all this is that you have this reality out here, but when you go inside, there's a whole entire reality we've been ignoring. And as a human being, wow, think if we explore this, how incredible we could be. I mean, as human beings, this is pretty amazing stuff.
It's true, it's really amazing. And it's like two different rooms. That's the beauty of it. So if I close my eyes and I see this inner reality, or if I open my eyes to this outer reality, they're two different rooms. But what exists within both is that subtlety of consciousness. And all of that stuff that exists between thought also exists between you and I.
So in your experience...
So then it becomes porous, increasingly more understood how porous it is, and it flows. So literally, this is my mind. This room is filled with my mind. It's also filled with your mind. And we are choosing to see this reality in a particular way. But then you can change that. On an instant, you can change it and look at it differently. And this is fascinating.
Okay, another question then, because this leads to this question. Because now you're using consciousness, awareness, that you've cultivated years and years of practicing your meditation to actually form your reality through your observations and your intentions. And so I've noticed in this last year that there's this almost divine synchronicities happening for me all the time. Like, this is required, it's there. There's simple things, little things, subtle things, but yet even grand things happen. And it's like I think the thought, and then they manifest. And before, prior to this practice, it wasn't quite like that. I had to kind of, I was like Tantalus holding up the world,
Yes.
hauling a chain. But now it's like snowboarding, going down a hill, just having fun, catching the moguls.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true, because this is that whole concept of relaxation, attention, concentration, direction. All those things combined, they soften our ability to receive. So we're not holding tight, we're just relaxing, and then going with the flow of going on a river towards the ocean.
Yeah.
And is connecting you to a source. So that ocean then is creating all of the rivers and streams. And
It's very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? The objective of meditation is nothing. Full and complete. The most absolute of nothing occurring. And within that nothingness, everything happens. That's why you can consider it dynamic and still all at the same time. So that is our objective. This is all that we're doing. But it's not to create a competition with yourself. Just relax, enjoy, and it's potentially one of the most pleasant ways of understanding who you are and moving through all of that which is between this deepest connection to who you are and the present moment, whatever that moment is. This is the most pleasant because all you're doing is sitting and relaxing and placing your attention focused just right there, and then everything else happens. How? Well, because this is natural. Naturally, nature wants to teach you the best way to survive, right? That's the built-in component in our brain, is survival. That's how we've gotten this far. But it doesn't just stop in, I need to eat food and get shelter and have some kind of community to make me feel safe around a fire, but it exists all the way through to the most subtle forms of consciousness. So now that we have all of those pieces, we have food, we have shelter, we have community sitting around a fire, what next? And that what next part is what is the question. Like right now, we sit around here, now this is the next piece of the opening of this consciousness. So we don't have to run away or run towards something at this moment in time. We just have to simply sit and be willing to listen and be willing to accept that when you ask a question, it goes somewhere, and when you receive an answer, it comes from somewhere. And you can define that how you wish. A higher form of mind, the self, consciousness, God, however you want to see it, because it's all one and the same. But that developing understanding around a realization within the simple fact that there is an element which is unexplainable, which is within the realm of mystery, that you engage with on a daily basis. And that's what we keep visiting again and again, this source. Again and again and again and again. And just soften into that until there's nothing left. So whatever reveals itself as a construct, you just don't need it when you're meditating. Let it dissolve. And through the dissolving, it will actually mature. And as it presents itself to you again within your daily life, it will have increased insight. Because on that scale of developmental subtlety, all thoughts are included within that. So you have a thought, it's a great idea, and then you have to create finer and finer and finer and finer understanding until it's profound. So all your thoughts are on purpose. They're not bad. They're good. It's now just this next piece. So let's sit. Now be comfortable, whatever that means. If that means lying flat, please do so. If that means sitting against the wall, also completely fine. But be comfortable. Keeping the eyes closed, let's bring full deep breaths into the body. Keeping the eyes closed, bring your gaze into the space just there in front of you. And with soft intensity, maintain the integrity of the space so that it is uninterrupted by any other thought. Softening the gaze. And for a moment, please reflect on your meditation. There's no rush to open the eyes. And understand for yourself where you were in relation to the depth that you've touched within your meditation practice. And from that reflection, you could understand why. And from that reflection, you can also understand who you are in relation to all of those sub-experiences that may have occurred within your meditation today. The objective of a small reflection straight after a meditation practice is so that you can more readily acquaint yourself to your environment. And the more conscious we are of our environment, then the easier it is to actually get around. This is just how it goes. The more we understand a room, the easier it is to walk around the room. The more we understand a group of people, the more easy it is to communicate and connect with those people. And as you are just gently opening your eyes from that reflection, it's important for us to start to connect to the basic infrastructure of a technique. So if you take on a meditation practice without any real technique to ground yourself into being able to listen closely, well then what I show you now will be used as that. You can use this as a technique forever if you'd like. It'll work perfectly. But all of that which occurred, which was not just this pristine nothingness within a meditation experience, all of that which occurred can simply be grounded or dissolved through the simple act of connecting to a quality of space of the body, which is teaching relaxation. So at any moment in time, if you feel that this distraction is caused by something which is holding, we can just simply relax. The second thing is the space of the breath, which is teaching attention. So the moment you feel like your attention is being pulled away, All you have to do is watch and feel your breathing, and immediately there's no chance for whatever it is that you are being pulled by. The only reason why you would be pulled is because you're saying yes, and that's just your decision. But the mechanism which is going to break up that pattern is found within the inhale-exhale. If you feel that you're lacking concentration, then the cure for that is the quality of space that exists within the mind that is not thought, that is not idea. And just by your awareness, focusing on that again and again and again, concentration will build. And the simple reason why that happens is because we can only see one thought at a time. So if you're choosing that thought to be in the most subtle form of that connection to that dynamic aspect, there's no choice but for all distractions to fall away. And then third thing, if you feel like your meditation is light, doesn't feel that grounded, one part is, yes, relaxation, which is going to deepen you into the comfort of meditation, but the second part is direction. And that's found within the vibration of that mind space. So if you keep looking deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, it starts to pull you in. And that's all of those elements focusing on one focal point, an origin. So it goes relaxation, attention, concentration, direction, which is taught by your physical body, the rhythm of your breathing, your mind, and the dynamic stillness which fills everything. That was very good. So think of all of the activity of the mind as your learning tool. And there's only one thing that we have to do. Nothing. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Enjoy the rest of your evening.